You look fine to me. 4 words that would ignite a national firestorm in less than 8 minutes. Have you ever been dismissed when you desperately needed help? When someone in authority looked right through you like you didn't matter? Well, that's exactly what happened to 77-year-old Arthur Finch at Gate C-12 of JFK Airport on what should have been a routine morning. We've all faced airline bureaucracy, haven't we? That sinking feeling when a gate agent treats you like cattle instead of a human being. But this wasn't just any passenger being brushed aside. Arthur approached Agent Dion Miller at the Global Airlines counter, his polished wooden cane steadying his deliberate steps. "Good morning. I'm Arthur Finch, requesting pre-boarding assistance." Miller barely glanced up from his screen. Pre-boarding is for passengers needing extra time or assistance. "You look fine to me. We'll board by zones. Please wait for your zone to be called." "Son," Arthur said, his voice calm but firm, "I have a mobility issue. It's noted in my reservation. The Air Carrier Access Act requires." "Sir, I have a plane to board." Miller cut him off, his tone dismissive. "If everyone who wanted to get on first claimed a disability, we'd never get off the ground. Please step aside." Here's what Agent Miller failed to notice, or chose to ignore. On Arthur Finch's jacket lapel was a small blue pin adorned with 13 white stars. To most people, it might look insignificant, but that tiny piece of metal represents something extraordinary. That pin identifies Arthur as a recipient of the Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration for valor. It's so rare that fewer than 3,500 have ever been awarded in our nation's entire history. Military tradition dictates that every service member, regardless of rank, must salute a Medal of Honor recipient first. Arthur had earned his in the jungles of Vietnam, where he risked everything to save his fellow soldiers. If you believe our heroes deserve basic respect, hit that like button right now. The Medal of Honor isn't just a piece of metal, it's a symbol of unimaginable courage. Recipients get special privileges, access to military facilities, exemption from certain fees, and yes, the right to respectful treatment. More importantly, they've earned something no law can mandate: our nation's gratitude. But Agent Miller saw none of this. He saw only an elderly man with a cane who was slowing things down. Arthur walked away from that counter with quiet dignity, the same grace he'd shown under enemy fire decades earlier. He had no idea that a witness was already filming, that his mistreatment would soon reach the highest office in the land, or that Global Airlines was about to learn a very expensive lesson about respect. What unfolded next would prove that sometimes justice still flies first class. To understand why Agent Miller's dismissal was so devastating, you need to know who Arthur Finch really is. Sergeant Major Arthur Finch earned his Medal of Honor on a blood-soaked morning in 1968, deep in the Vietnamese jungle. His unit was pinned down by heavy enemy fire, wounded soldiers crying out for help in a deadly crossfire. While others took cover, Arthur made a choice that defied every survival instinct. He charged directly into that killing zone, not once but 3 times, dragging wounded comrades to safety while bullets tore through the air around him. On his final rescue attempt, enemy shrapnel ripped through his left leg and back. Still, he refused evacuation until every last man was accounted for. The official citation reads, "Conspicuously by gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of life above and beyond the call of duty." Those aren't just words on paper. They represent a moment when one man's courage saved 7 lives. Decades later, those same injuries that earned him our nation's highest honor now require that polished wooden cane. The shrapnel fragments still embedded in his spine make standing for extended periods excruciating. Simple tasks like navigating crowded airplane aisles have become monumental challenges. But here's what makes Arthur extraordinary. He never complains, never demands special treatment, never waves his Medal of Honor around like a golden ticket. That small blue lapel pin, the one Agent Miller failed to recognize, is worn quietly, almost reluctantly. Arthur considers it a tribute to the men who didn't make it home, not a personal trophy. When younger soldiers spot it and snap to attention, he gently tells them, "Save your salutes for the flag, son. I'm just grateful we all made it through." His wife passed 3 years ago. His children live across the country. These trips to veteran reunions are his lifeline. a chance to reconnect with the only people who truly understand what they witnessed, what they sacrificed, what they carry. This particular journey to Denver meant everything to him. The surviving members of his old unit, now down to just 12 men, gather annually to honor those who never came home. It's sacred time, irreplaceable. When Miller dismissed him at Gate C-12, Arthur didn't raise his voice. Didn't demand to speak to a manager, didn't threaten lawsuits or bad reviews. He simply stepped aside with the same quiet dignity he'd carried through 5 decades of nightmares, pain, and survivor's guilt. In his mind, he'd faced down enemy machine guns. He could certainly handle one rude gate agent. What Arthur couldn't have known was that 30 feet away, someone was watching. Someone who recognized that blue pin immediately. Someone with 2.3 million social media followers and a smartphone already recording. The old soldier's grace under pressure was about to become a rallying cry that would reach the Oval Office in exactly 8 minutes. Marcus Thorne was scrolling through emails when he heard Agent Miller's dismissive tone cut through the gate area chatter. As a tech entrepreneur with 2.3 million social media followers, Marcus had built his platform, exposing corporate misconduct and social injustices. But this wasn't about follower counts or viral content. This was personal. Marcus had served 2 tours in Afghanistan with the 101st Airborne. He knew exactly what that small blue pin on the elderly man's lapel represented. In all his years of service, he'd only encountered 3 Medal of Honor recipients. Each time, grown soldiers, tough, battle-hardened warriors, had tears in their eyes just being in their presence. Watching Arthur get dismissed like a nuisance ignited something primal in Marcus. This wasn't just poor customer service. This was a desecration of everything sacred in military culture. His phone was already recording as Miller delivered his final blow. "Please step aside." Marcus quickly typed while his thumbs flew across the screen. "Disgraceful. At Global Air official gate agent at JFK Gate C-12, just denied pre-boarding and basic respect to Medal of Honor recipients honored Major Arthur Finch. This hero deserves better than your contempt. Global Air fail, veterans, respect the medal, MOH. Flight 714 to Denver, 10:30 a.m. He attached the video clip and hit post at exactly 9:47 a.m. Comment below if you've ever witnessed injustice and wished you could act, because that's exactly what Marcus did next. The response was immediate and explosive. Within 60 seconds, 127 retweets, 340 likes. 2 minutes, 1,200 shares across platforms. 3 minutes, the VFW's official account amplified it. 4 minutes, Paralyzed Veterans of America joined the chorus. 5 minutes, Respect the Medal was trending in 3 states. Major news outlets started picking it up. Local TV stations scrambled reporters. Veterans groups that monitor social media for exactly these situations mobilized their networks. Marcus watched his notifications explode. Thousands of comments from active military, veterans, and outraged civilians. The video was being shared faster than he'd ever seen content spread. But the most important viewer was someone Marcus never could have anticipated. At 9:52 a.m., exactly 5 minutes after his post went live, a notification alert pinged on a secure tablet inside the White House Communications Agency. Digital monitoring systems had flagged the rapidly spreading story involving a Medal of Honor recipient. The keyword combination, Medal of Honor, mistreatment, and viral outrage, triggered an automated escalation protocol. Within 30 seconds, a senior aide was reviewing the post and the attached video evidence. By 9:53 a.m., the situation had reached what insiders call critical decision-making level, the point where issues demand immediate presidential awareness. The countdown to corporate reckoning had officially begun. Marcus had no idea his single post was about to trigger the most powerful phone call in global airlines' history. At exactly 9:53 a.m., an informal but critical clock began to tick. The White House Communications Agency operates like a digital nervous system for the presidency. Every trending hashtag, every viral story, every piece of content that could impact national interests gets filtered through sophisticated monitoring algorithms. When Marcus's post hit 10,000 shares in under 6 minutes, the system flagged it automatically. The combination of keywords, Medal of Honor, discrimination, viral outrage, triggered an immediate escalation protocol. Veterans organizations had already mobilized their considerable digital armies. The VFW's national headquarters in Kansas City watched their phones light up. Regional commanders across all 50 states started calling in reports of local members sharing the video. The American Legion's social media team pushed the story to their 2.4 million followers. Paralyzed Veterans of America, longtime advocates for accessible air travel, saw their networks explode with notifications. Their legislative director immediately flagged this as a potential Air Carrier Access Act violation requiring federal attention. By 9:54 a.m., 3 major news networks had assigned producers to track the developing story. Local Denver stations scrambled teams to meet Arthur's flight upon arrival. Inside the West Wing, Senior Communications Director Rachel Martinez received the initial briefing. The metrics were staggering: 25,000 shares, 180,000 views, trending in 12 states and climbing. But numbers don't tell the whole story. Martinez pulled up the video on her secure tablet. Watching Arthur's dignified response to Agent Miller's dismissal, seeing that Medal of Honor pin dismissed so casually, she felt her stomach tighten. At 9:55 a.m., she made the call that would change everything. Chief of Staff's office, we have a situation. Within 90 seconds, Chief of Staff David Chen was reviewing the video evidence. As a former Navy officer himself, Chen recognized immediately that this wasn't just a customer service issue. This was an assault on military honor that demanded the highest level response. The decision tree was clear. Any incident involving Medal of Honor recipients that reaches viral status requires immediate presidential notification. At 9:56 a.m., Chen walked the 15 steps to the Oval Office. Mr. President, we need 60 seconds of your time. It's about a Medal of Honor recipient. The president looked up from the intelligence briefing spread across the resolute desk. Those 5 words, Medal of Honor recipient, commanded instant attention. Chen played the 40-second video clip. The president's reaction was immediate and visceral. The leader of the free world, the person who personally bestows the Medal of Honor in Congress's name, watched a national hero get dismissed like baggage. This is unacceptable, the president said, the words clipped and decisive. A Medal of Honor recipient represents the absolute best of American valor. Disrespecting him disrespects every service member who ever wore the uniform. At 9:57 a.m., the president made a decision that would soon send shockwaves through corporate America. Get me the CEO of Global Airlines on the phone, now, and draft a statement for immediate release. The American people need to know where this administration stands on respecting our heroes. The countdown had reached its final minutes. Global Airlines had no idea that the most powerful phone call in their company's history was about to connect. At 9:58 a.m., White House Chief of Staff David Chen placed the most consequential corporate phone call of the year. This is the White House Chief of Staff. I need Global Airlines CEO Evelyn Hayes on the line immediately. This concerns a Medal of Honor recipient, and it's urgent. The Global Air switchboard operator, trained to handle VIP calls, had never fielded a White House request. Within 90 seconds, a very confused Evelyn Hayes was being patched through to the Oval Office. The president didn't waste time with pleasantries. Miss Hayes, I'm calling about the disgraceful treatment your airline just showed Medal of Honor recipient Arthur Finch at JFK Airport. I've seen the video. This is completely unacceptable. Hayes, caught completely off guard, stammered through an explanation about equipment changes and standard procedures. Standard procedures? The president interrupted. Miss Hayes, that man risked his life for this country. He earned our nation's highest honor. Your agent treated him like garbage. This ends now. The call lasted 3 minutes. When it ended, Hayes sat in stunned silence, realizing her company had just been personally rebuked by the commander-in-chief. Simultaneously, the White House social media team was crafting a statement that would reach 89 million followers across platforms. At 10:01 a.m., the official presidential account posted, "The reported mistreatment of Medal of Honor recipient Sergeant Major Arthur Finch by Global Air official is an outrage. Our nation's heroes deserve nothing less than the utmost respect and dignity. This incident is unacceptable. We are looking into this immediately and expect full accountability. Veterans, respect the medal, MOH." The response was instantaneous and overwhelming. Within minutes, the post had 50,000 retweets. Cabinet members, senators, governors, and military leaders from both parties shared it. The story jumped from social media trending topic to national news emergency. Share this if you believe the president did the right thing. But the president wasn't finished. At 10:03 a.m., Secretary of Transportation Maria Rodriguez received direct instructions. Initiate an immediate investigation into Global Airlines' compliance with the Air Carrier Access Act. I want a full review of their policies regarding military personnel and passengers with disabilities. The Department of Transportation's Enforcement Division had handled thousands of airline complaints, but never one with direct presidential oversight. Pattern interrupt. Stock market reality check. On trading floors across Wall Street, Global Airlines stock ticker GAL began flashing red. Stock drops 2.3%. Down 4.1% as news pin spreads. Trading volume spikes 300% above normal. 12 a.m. down 6.8% with no bottom in sight. Financial analysts scrambled to assess the damage. A presidential rebuke combined with pending federal investigation represented a perfect storm for corporate reputation and revenue. CNBC's breaking news ticker read, Global Air stock plummets after presidential condemnation of veteran mistreatment. Inside Global Air's headquarters, emergency conference calls erupted. Board members demanded answers. The legal department prepared for federal scrutiny. Marketing teams began drafting crisis responses, all because one gate agent couldn't recognize a hero standing right in front of him. The corporate reckoning was about to begin. At 10:04 a.m., Global Airlines CEO Evelyn Hayes slammed down her phone and immediately triggered the company's highest-level crisis protocol. Emergency executive meeting, conference room A. Now, she barked to her assistant while speed-dialing her crisis management team. Within 8 minutes, Hayes faced her senior leadership team around the mahogany conference table: Chief Operating Officer, General Counsel, Head of Public Relations, and VP of Customer Experience. Stock ticker displays on the wall showed GAL continuing its free fall. "We have a code red situation," Hayes announced, her voice tight with controlled panic. "The President of the United States just personally called to condemn our treatment of a Medal of Honor recipient. We're facing federal investigation, viral public outrage, and complete reputational collapse." The room erupted in urgent questions, but Hayes cut them off. "First priority. Find Arthur Finch. Where is he? Has he boarded? I want him located immediately." 3 executives simultaneously grabbed phones. Within minutes, they had answers. Finch was still at JFK, sitting quietly in the gate area. Boarding hadn't begun. "Get our highest-ranking representative to Gate C12 immediately," Hayes ordered. "I want personal contact with Mr. Finch within the next 10 minutes. While that scramble continued, Hayes turned to damage control. "Legal. What's our exposure on the Air Carrier Access Act violation?" General Counsel Margaret Kim looked grim. "Substantial. Pre-boarding denial for mobility-impaired passengers is a clear violation. With DOT investigation now active in presidential attention, we're looking at maximum penalties plus massive civil liability." Public relations. How bad is the viral spread? PR Chief Robert Martinez checked his tablet. "Catastrophic. Trending on every platform, major news networks picking it up. We're at 200,000 shares and climbing exponentially." Hayes made swift, decisive calls. "Here's our response plan. Execute immediately. Point 1. Agent Dion Miller is suspended effective immediately pending full investigation. Security will escort him from the premises within the hour. Point 2. I'm recording a personal video apology that goes live across all platforms within 30 minutes. No corporate speak, no deflection. Complete accountability. Point 3. Mr. Finch gets first-class accommodation on the next available flight, full refund for his entire journey, and whatever additional support he needs. Point 4. Company-wide emergency training for all 30,000 customer-facing employees begins Monday. Full ACAA compliance review and veteran recognition protocols. Point 5. We establish a dedicated Veteran Services hotline with direct executive access, operational 24/7. Point 6. Complete cooperation with DOT investigation, plus proactive policy audit with veteran advocacy groups. At 10:18 a.m., Hayes positioned herself in the company's media studio. No makeup team, No script doctors, just raw, authentic accountability. The video went live at 10:22 a.m. I'm Evelyn Hayes, CEO of Global Airlines. We failed. We failed Sergeant Major Arthur Finch, a true American hero who earned our nation's highest honor. We failed to show basic human decency and respect. There are no excuses for treating a Medal of Honor recipient or any passenger with such disregard. Agent Miller has been suspended. We're implementing comprehensive training. Most importantly, we're personally ensuring Mr. Finch receives the respect and accommodation he deserved from the beginning. To every veteran, active service member, and their families, you have our commitment to do better. We will earn back your trust through actions, not words. By 10:25 a.m., Global Air's Senior VP of Customer Experience was approaching Arthur Finch at Gate C-12. Sergeant Major Finch, I'm Jennifer Walsh from Global Airlines. On behalf of our entire company, I owe you a profound apology. Arthur looked up with quiet dignity. The corporate reckoning had finally reached the man who deserved it most. When Jennifer Walsh approached Arthur Finch with Global Air's formal apology, she expected anger, demands, perhaps even legal threats. Instead, she encountered the same quiet grace that had defined Arthur's entire life. "Ma'am," Arthur said, rising slowly with his cane, "I appreciate you coming personally. Respect is a simple thing to give. It shouldn't take an uproar for a man to be treated right." Walsh felt tears well up as she delivered Global Air's comprehensive response: immediate first-class upgrade, full trip refund, and a commitment to systemic change. "I hope this helps folks remember," Arthur continued, "especially for those who've served and for anyone who needs a bit of extra help." His gracious response, captured on video by onlooking passengers, went as viral as the original incident. Here was a man who had every right to rage, choosing instead to teach with dignity. Within hours, Arthur was comfortably seated in first class, heading to his reunion with the respect he'd earned 55 years ago in Vietnam. But the real justice came in the lasting changes his treatment sparked. Global Air's emergency training rollout became the gold standard for veteran and disability accommodation. New digital posters appeared at every gate. Respect isn't earned by points, it's given by principle. The Finch Protocol, as employees began calling it, required immediate escalation of any service issue involving Medal of Honor recipients or disabled veterans to executive levels. Other airlines, watching Global Air's crisis unfold, quietly began reviewing their own policies. American Airlines enhanced their military courtesy training. Delta established a Veterans Affairs liaison position. United created a dedicated Heroes hotline. The ripple effects reached beyond aviation. Hotels, restaurants, and retail chains started implementing veteran recognition programs. Corporate America realized that respecting those who served wasn't just morally right, it was business critical in the social media age. Agent Dion Miller, after completing intensive sensitivity training and Air Carrier Access Act education, was reassigned to cargo operations. He never worked with passengers again. Marcus Thorne's original post, which started the 8-minute countdown to justice, became a case study in business schools about the power of social accountability. The White House received thousands of thank you letters from veterans and military families, grateful that their commander-in-chief had stood up for one of their own. But perhaps the most meaningful outcome was simpler. Across America, airline gate agents began looking more carefully at the passengers in front of them, recognizing that heroes don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they just wear small blue pins and ask quietly for a little extra time. Arthur Finch arrived in Denver refreshed and honored, greeted at the gate by Global Air executives ensuring his comfort. His reunion with 11 surviving unit members became more meaningful, knowing that his quiet dignity had sparked nationwide change. The men who had served together in Vietnam's jungles now gathered to honor fallen comrades, but they also celebrated Arthur's unexpected victory for veteran rights. The story sparked a national conversation about how we treat our heroes. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, and every major network ran features on veteran air travel rights. The hashtag #RespectTheMedal became a rallying cry for better treatment of all disabled travelers. Congress introduced the Arthur Finch Veterans Air Travel Protection Act, mandating enhanced training for airline staff and stronger penalties for discrimination. The Department of Transportation used Global Air's case as a blueprint for investigating other airlines' compliance with accessibility laws. Veteran advocacy groups saw membership surges as the story reminded Americans that the fight for veteran rights continues long after war's end. The VFW, American Legion, and Paralyzed Veterans of America received unprecedented public support for their ongoing missions. Most importantly, the story reminded us that heroes walk among us daily. They don't seek special treatment or demand recognition. They simply ask for the basic dignity every human deserves. Arthur's calm response to injustice and the swift accountability that followed prove that in America, respect for service and sacrifice still matters. One viral video, one presidential phone call, and one company's reckoning showed that when we stand together, justice can still prevail. The 8-minute countdown from social media posts to presidential intervention became a modern legend, demonstrating that in our connected world, corporate accountability can happen at the speed of shared outrage. Arthur Finch returned to Montana quietly, as heroes often do. But his brief moment in the national spotlight ensured that future veterans would travel with greater dignity and respect. Subscribe if you believe heroes deserve our unfailing respect, and ring that notification bell so you never miss stories of justice being served. Because when we honor those who served, we honor the values that make America great.